It's Saturday morning, March the 16th, and because on Saturday mornings that's the only day I get a paper version of my Daily Telegraph delivered, I'm going to read some bits from the paper, simply because it's more fun. And before I carry on, I'll tell you, I'm Grannyopteryx. All right, so the big splash on the front of the Telegraph, there we are, is a nice picture, a nice studio portrait of Caitlyn Jenner. And it says here, Caitlyn Jenner, trans women are not women. Now there's a surprise. And then the legend under the photo says, Caitlyn Jenner, the former male Olympic decathlete and Keeping Up with the Kardashian star, is interviewed by fellow Olympian Sharon Davis in today's Telegraph magazine, championing women's rights to preserve their space in sport. So there's the word champion again. And it struck me as sort of interesting because Caitlyn Jenner was, I don't know, for all I know, still is a man, certainly still is a biological man. And here we have her, because she has adopted the persona of a woman. She is now championing the rights of women. Now, this is sort of interesting because you may remember, here we have this. Monroe Bergdorf was chosen by the UN to be a trans champion for women. And Judith Woods here said that's an insulting thing. And yeah, I made a video saying it is indeed insulting. But what interested me was the fact that it takes a trans woman like Caitlyn Jenner. I'll take a screenshot of this article and I'll put it up there. It takes somebody like Caitlyn Jenner to be taken seriously. I remember once in a Bible class, I did like Bible classes. It's just the stories, you know. And I think the teacher must have been something of a feminist because she did point something out when we were doing the Old Testament. It was something God said to Abraham, something like, I don't remember the exact quote, something like, listen to Sarah in everything she tells you. Meaning he was telling God, a bloke, was telling Abraham, a bloke, to actually listen to his wife. And that's a problem. Men tend to dismiss things that women say. I'm not having a go at men. I'm just talking, if you look at, I'm just talking generally, if you look throughout history at how women's testimony is taken in court, in many legal systems historically, women's testimony was not actually ever taken. It wasn't considered reasonable. And I have to point out that the word testimony comes from a particular Roman practice. When you were when you were a witness in a Roman court, you didn't put your hand on the Bible, you put your hand on something else to say that you were actually telling the truth, or you'd be struck in that part of your body by the gods. So a woman actually couldn't testify and she didn't have the equipment. So there's, and as we all know, in Islamic law, a female witness, you have to have two females, not just the one, because a female's witness is half the worth of a man's. And it's a pretty common thing. So it doesn't surprise me that somebody like Caitlyn Jenner, who at least spent some time at least as a man, is taken more seriously than somebody like Posey Parker, who often has the aura around her of just some hysterical woman complaining that life isn't fair. You know? All right. I'm constantly being told that YouTube removes subscriptions without the subscriber realising it. So please click the notification bell and check that you really are still subscribed. All the links to my other channels are in the description, including links to donation sites, but simply clicking like is the best thing you can do for this video and my channel generally. Thank you. So on the same page as the Caitlyn Jenner article, or the announcement, there's an interview in the magazine. There's this tiny little bit of news which fits in with something, one of the responses to my last video. Well, actually to the one about the guy who got jailed for putting stickers up on a lamppost. It says here, this bit here, I'll try and find the digital version and I'll put it up there. The Metropolitan Police axes 60 murder officers in cash crisis. Scotland Yard is cutting 60 murder detectives across London in an attempt to save millions from its overall budget. Metropolitan Police bosses are making large cuts despite the murder rate in London remaining stubbornly high, and detectives warning they are already operating at full capacity. Under plans seen by the Telegraph, all of the Met's 20 homicide squads will lose 3 detective constables, reducing the headcount in each from 18 to 15. So the police are short of money. Do you think that's got anything to do with the demonstrations that the uniform branch have to deal with every Saturday now? Do you think that has anything to do? They're talking about this being a specifically Metropolitan Police problem. I don't know whether it happens in other districts, but certainly in this one. And the Metropolitan Police is the one with the racial and religious hatred unit instituted by our nightmare of London, Sadiq Khan, where they... I did make a video a couple of years ago in which a man in the Midlands made a blog in which he criticised Sadiq Khan, and the racial and religious hatred squad were knocking on his door at 7 o'clock on a weekday morning when he was preparing to take his son to school, I think. Anyway, so they had the time to go from London to the Midlands and spend overnight in a hotel, by the way. They had the money to do that. And now they're cutting their homicide squad, because when somebody makes a blog that criticises Sadiq Khan, that's a lot more serious than a homicide. And I read that just after I'd read a comment under my video about the stickers. The guy who was arrested for putting stickers which apparently said nothing more controversial than it's okay to be white. And this is his message to me. My uncle's house was set on fire while he was inside. Thieves couldn't break in, so they burned it. He survived, but the police didn't think it was worth investigating. Yet somebody sets fire to your house and the police don't think that's worth investigating. And then, my cousin died last year at 37, found at the bottom of a hill. They moved his body without taking photographs. They didn't send a liaison officer to my auntie's house. So that means this was a man who still had a living mother. No liaison officer was sent to see her. They didn't photograph the position of the body when they found it. Not a word for 2 weeks, it says here. They ignored CCTV footage of him in different clothes from what he was found in. He changed his clothes before he'd ended up at the bottom of that hill. One way or the other, how that happened, we don't know. They should have at least asked the mother if he'd come back and had changed or whatever, had said anything to her. No, not a word for 2 weeks, it says here. I don't know the circumstances. And then this person says, put up a sticker that's mildly offensive and you get prison. So if you think that the police are overstretched, maybe it's overstretched because of this. Now, I don't know this person. It's possible that this person has made this all up, but I doubt it. And this is why people don't trust the police anymore. And this is why when I see this thing about them being short of money, I don't believe that either. I think they're wasting their time on things they shouldn't be wasting their time on. They're wasting their money on painting rainbows on their cars. Yeah, I have a big scratch on my car, got it on the farm, and not the car, the scratch. And I can't afford to have the car resprayed, so it's still got this scratch there. The police have the money to paint rainbows on their cars for Pride Week or month or however long it is nowadays. This is a thing about Diane Abbott. It's just here in this tiny little bit here, little bit of breaking news. It says Keir Starmer is coming under mounting pressure to readmit Ms. Abbott. Her whip was removed because she wrote something which was taken to be racist. So she's standing as an independent at the moment, but there's pressure to readmit her because of something that some Tory donor said that's taken to be racist, and it's about her. Now, if you want my opinion about this, which you might do because you're watching my channel, I don't think what that Tory donor said was racist. I think he thought he was being hilariously funny. He wasn't. It wasn't clever. This is a breaking news IE, so it's an Irish paper. They've got a nice photo of Diane Abbott there. Look, I was taught as a kid, when you're talking about somebody, you don't make fun of immutable characteristics, skin colour, disability, anything like that. Not when you're talking about a particular person. That's just rude. That's what I was told. Oh, and names. You don't make fun of people's names for the same reason. They're saddled with the name they have. So this guy made a joke about an immutable characteristic here. This is what he said. He's accused of saying in 2019. Now, I just want to say, he said this in a private capacity. He didn't tweet this out or anything. This was in a conversation. And that's what's so wrong with all of this. This was just probably a silly off-the-cuff joke he made. He doesn't sound like a very nice person. I don't think it's racism, though. That Britain's longest-serving black MP made him want to hate all black women and she should be shot. Well, the fact is that Diane Abbott is an extremely irritating person. And I think that's what he was trying to say. And he said something about, I have no problem with black women generally, but she, you see, they've cut that, but she makes me want to hate all black women. Okay, it wasn't nice, and it wasn't that funny either. But it seems to me that's what he was saying. But of course, the Labour Party, having found this. Oh, yeah, and the other important thing is it was in a private conversation. But the Labour Party have no qualms about that. And having found that, they have made a big fuss about this Tory donor. Remember, he's just a donor, not a politician himself. And they're making a whole thing about the Conservative Party being racist because of this off-the-cuff remark. Meanwhile, Miss Abbott had her whip suspended because she wrote, I think, was it a tweet or something? But this was a letter. No, it was a letter. So it was a public pronouncement that Jews aren't subject to the same sort of racial prejudice that other groups are. I don't think she was racist. She was just being utterly stupid, obtuse, and I don't think this guy was being racist either. I think he thought he was being clever. It wasn't a funny joke, but I don't think it was intended as a racist remark. However, the two parties just got at each other when these things happened, and they whipped up this whole furore, or if you're in America, a furor. Right, so that's that. Well, yeah, what really surprises me in this Telegraph is that there appears to be nothing on the first, well, there isn't anything on the first three, the first three most important pages about the SpaceX rocket, which was the biggest rocket ever to have left the Earth's atmosphere and to gone into what would have been an orbit if they'd have decided to put it in orbit before it was destroyed. It was just a test. It's a remarkable achievement. I'll try and find, I don't have anything in front of me, but I'll try and find a clipping somewhere to put a picture of it up there. A truly amazing thing, and something we can all congratulate ourselves here in the Western world. We can congratulate ourselves on at least two things. One of them is the technical ability, and the other one is allowing somebody to become rich enough that he can put a spaceship into orbit. I don't think we appreciate that. We have a society where, generally speaking, people are not starving, where there is education available to all, not always taken up, not always perfect, not always taken advantage of, but it's there. And at the same time, we have people here who are so wealthy they can put rockets into orbit. And don't you think that we have to remind ourselves that this is a particularly blessed society? We've just got to keep it blessed, haven't we? And not allow it to be taken over by primitive ideas. Okay, well, yeah, that's some choice nuggets from the newspaper. And yeah, I think that's enough for one day. Till next time. Why not treat yourself or a favoured relative or friend to these magnificent examples of merch? The mugs and t-shirts come in the Graniopteryx design or Grambo with a firearm or the more deadly knitting needles. Go to www.graniopteryx.com and whatever platform you're watching this on, please click like, subscribe and share.